Hello, everyone. Welcome to our virtual JUG here in July. Today we're going to go around the room. We're going to say hello. Please maybe tell me real quick, what's your favorite project you're working on right now? Or if you don't have a favorite project, maybe tell me your favorite thing you're doing with Joomla. I'm going to go around the room. Everyone can talk for about a minute, say hello, where you're from, and answer that question. And then we're going to go into our featured presentation, which will be Olivier talking about the guided tours that are new and changing in Joomla 5. I'm going to start with Paul, and then I'm going to go to Laura. You want to say hello, Paul?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm here in Middle Tennessee and don't see her on right now, but Pat Vandenbosch and I have joined forces to put together a website for our local town. And so that's been an interesting seeing somebody else's technique and design and so forth. And I think maybe both of us are learning from each other. It's good to cooperate with each other. So it's been great.
That's amazing. Awesome. Laura and then Richard.
Hey everybody, I'm Laura. I am right now working on an event management system, which is going to be using workflows, and I've discovered a lot of holes in workflows. So now I'm really having fun. I was hoping it was just going to work out of the box, but it doesn't. So I look forward to maybe in August or September being able to show the group what I did come up with, if I can, because the director is expecting a demo in a couple of weeks. So anyway, with the help of lots of Joomlers, we'll get this off the ground. So very excited. And I think it was Richard is next.
Richard and then Wesley. Yep.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Richard. I'm based in Bournemouth, which is on the English South Coast. We are sweltering in what you would probably consider sort of tepid conditions, but it's for us it's really warm, up in about 80 degrees. So I do pretty much everything in Joomla these days. I've just finished vintage music festival called Pool Goes Vintage, and that event's at the weekend. Just done tattoo and piercing parlor, just done their site, doing electrolysis hair removal site, a banjo teacher. You know, it's pretty rock and roll. So yeah, that's me.
Excellent. Wesley and then Joe Sunny.
So Wesley here from Tucson, Arizona, also in the sweltering heat, trying not to go out of the house too much and keeping cool. I don't really have a favorite project other than to say that one of the things I'm doing is nitpicking on my website, highresedition.com, where I'm going and dealing with old articles I wrote that are just inferior and just need to be updated and spell checked and stuff that I just was oblivious to when I actually posted those articles 10 plus years ago. So that's sort of my current project that I'm working on. And could I say it's my favorite? Well, it's not exactly my favorite, but it has to be done. That's all I've got.
Joe and then Rhonda.
So I'm Joe. I'm in Canada, near Toronto, between Toronto and Niagara Falls, New York. And my thing that I'm doing right now is becoming familiar with Joomla's core code. I'm doing a lot of layout overrides using custom fields, and in the midst of all of that, learning PHP. So that's keeping me busy these days.
Wonderful. Rhonda and then Tim.
Rhonda Hutchison. I'm in Texas, and my project that I'm really interested in right now that I'm working on is it's a new business, a friend of a friend, and they want a front end and a back end. And I'm so excited because I think they will actually use the back end and have their clients use it too. So really excited to set up the different permission levels and working on that.
Oh, wonderful. Tim and then Olivier.
Hey everybody, Tim Davis here. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. It's the southern tip of Vancouver Island. I did not make it through the recording of the last meeting, which I was not able to attend, but at the beginning, someone mentioned about wanting to learn how to use the Discover tool. And so my Maintenance Monday video this week was on using the Discovery tool. And it was also my 300th edition of Maintenance Monday. So I was pretty happy about that. It took me 3 weeks to do because the first 2 times it just was not happening for me. It's just, I was not happy. But anyways, that is out. And fun fact about my shirt, it's one of 2 Hawaiian shirts that my sister made for me, my late sister, when when I went off to Bible college in 1985. So that's and they still fit, which I don't know what it says about me, but they're still good shirts. So my sister Melissa made those. So I like to wear them in the summertime and remember her.
That's lovely. Thank you. Olivier and Alan.
Hello, Olivier. I'm right now in New York. It's very warm and humid. I do work right now on guided tours. I've been spending quite some time to try and prepare our new features so that they get included in Joomla FF2. So that's been my focus for the last couple of weeks.
That's enough to keep you busy.
It is.
Alan and then Michael.
Hello, I'm Alan. I'm in just north of Dallas, Texas. So I see we have a fellow Texan on here. We're enjoying a cool spell today. We're only going to get to the low 90s today. We're normally triple digits by now. We've been in triple digits for over a week. But we had a cool spell come through last night. So I think we're only supposed to get to like 92 today, which is cool for this time of year for Dallas. Joomla, we successfully launched a rewrite of a site that was written in Joomla 1.5 using a bunch of modules that no longer exist and some PHP packages that no longer exist. So we had to rewrite the site from scratch pretty much. And we brought it out for beta testing the last week of June and launched it July 1st. And so far, the worst thing anyone has found is 2 spelling errors. So
Nice.
We have had a number of complaints from users about it doesn't work like it used to. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It works better. We fixed some issues in the old site that, you can't do things you weren't supposed to do now. And because it's for reserving FCC call signs, and you're supposed to be able to only reserve for a year in advance. And some people had found holes in the system where they could go out and reserve it multiple years in advance. They can't do that anymore. We wrote a lot of custom PHP code that says you can only reserve for today plus 1 year, and a few other stops in there. And it's like, we can't do this. It's like, nope, you sure can, but it works and it's been successful. And in both the users and the admins, there's 5 call sign administrators are all happy with the way we redesigned the site and fixed a bunch of things on there that just irritated me the way they worked. And so we did a pretty major redesign of the site, and looks like the launch was successful. If the worst thing people are complaining about is spelling errors and the fact that the holes aren't there anymore, I call that successful.
Michael and then Ann.
Okay, so obviously this is my first time joining you guys.
Welcome.
So I've been dealing with Joomla for about a decade now. Yeah, at least maybe a little more. I did website design before that, a background in IT and computers, but I'm actually a doctor of chiropractic, and I live about 50 minutes outside of Athens, Greece. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, nice.
And everybody's talking about their weather. We've got about 100 degrees here today in the area, so it's been pretty hot the last few days. But with Greece not being really all that aware of chiropractic, I also, I do as a secondary job the website design. And a few years ago, I started doing website hosting, running my own servers. to do, you know, regular maintenance and whatnot for my clients and everything else. So don't really have any favorite projects going on. I have a nightmare project going on at the moment that's been going on for 3 years because there's a lot of scope creep from the client, but that's a whole other discussion. So that's me in a nutshell right now.
Oh, well, thank you for coming, and maybe you can hang out with Crystal. She's also from Greece.
Yes, I'm familiar. Actually, one of my colleagues here went to high school with Nick.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a small country. Anne, and then Carlos just jumped on. You can do your intro right after Anne.
Hi, I'm
Oh,
Anne Thomas, and from Syracuse, New York. The current project I'm working on, it's a challenge. It's a client in the tech field, enterprise technology. They decided to do a refresh of their website when I talked to them about upgrading from 3 to 5. So the good news was I'm just starting fresh with it. But they aren't giving me any input. They're saying they don't really need to change the content. And if you can imagine that for a technology company with 10-year-old content. And they just want it look fresh, but they're not giving me much ideas of what they're really looking for. So I'm struggling with all of that, trying to come up with something for them. But the good thing is I've been experimenting and learning more about the Bootstrap classes and finding a lot of really neat ways to use that, both, you know, in the code, but also using the class options on the different tabs. I'm not sure what that's all called, but that's kind of been giving me some fun. So that's my stuff now.
My kid's walking around downstairs, so I keep muting myself. Anyway, Carlos, you came in a little late, but we're just saying hello and where we're from and fun project you're working on right now.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry for being late.
That's okay.
Thank you, Robin, for your patience. I am from Spain, and right now I'm working on a couple of sites in Joomla, one starting fresh, another J3 to J5 migration. I also develop extensions. I have one for managing users from the front end of Joomla, which adds some filters. And I do custom development.
Excellent. And I'm Robin Clapp, and one of the people who run this group and help out with JDay USA as well. I am from Connecticut, USA, and I've been in Joomla 18 years, so from 1.0. My favorite project, and Paul mentioned it too, is collaboration with someone else who comes into this group once in a while, Adam Melcher and I. I've recently moved into kind of the middle of nowhere in Connecticut, and I have my first fish and wildlife hunting club. So put that on my portfolio. I did their website last year. They came back to me. They wanted all these new features, including ways to track their members, doing volunteer timing and being able to do the members to be able to reach out to each other on the site, and all kinds of custom stuff for the back end. And Adam jumped on the project with me, and we've been killing it for the client. He couldn't be happier. Didn't think he would be able to get any of these things done, and we're doing all of it. So that's really fun. Believe it or not, I did a Joomla 3 migration this morning. I have some stragglers, but almost all of my clients, I have about 70 of them. About almost all of them are into Joomla 5 now. And with the encouragement of this group, you guys, every time you come on, you tell me what's going on and to go ahead and try it. And it's not so bad. And if anything breaks, I just ask you guys to help me, which is wonderful. So yeah, and yeah, I'm loving life. I think someone came on and just fell back out. So I'll I'll see if they come back on and let them in. Well, welcome to our newest visitor today, Mike. Glad to have you, and everyone who's here again for many times over. Thanks for coming back. It is a hot July summer meeting, so you could all be on vacation, but you chose to come here, and I really appreciate that. Olivier is our speaker today. I don't know, Joe, if you want to do an introduction for him, that would be great, and then he could take over.
Sure, I'll introduce Olivier. So Olivier is a French guy who lives in New York City, who is an extension developer, and he's part of the JDay USA team. Honestly, you couldn't make this stuff up. He's really good at Joomla, and he's a previous version release manager. I think that's the right term for one of Joomla's major release. Maybe it was just the previous one. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. He's great. So you get to hear what he's been working on, which is the guided tours thing. And thank you very much, Olivier, for being available today to do that. Let's hear from you what's new with Joomla guided tours.
Yes. Hello. I have a few things to show you, but I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with guided tours in the group. So I'm just going to do a little quick introduction to it. Can you see? No, you can't see. Hold on. I'm going to have to do differently. I'm going to have to share my screen because you're seeing a blur screen, right?
Yeah, it's blurred, but
hold on. Maybe
you have
I can
to share. So go ahead and use the whole screen.
Yeah. What about now? Can you see it?
Yep.
If I pin you, should I pin you and make it larger? Is that?
Yes, probably.
I think you have to spotlight him, not
Spotlight for everyone? How's that?
There you go. Yep, spotlight for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see it in the right? Can you read it or no?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can read it. It's a little fuzzy, but it's readable.
Okay. Let me know because we can switch and just to do a screen share instead, because I'm doing OBS, but I don't know. It's kind of weird that it doesn't work. I mean, I see all the words upside down. So okay. So if you see, that's the important thing. So guided tours. So this is a feature that was introduced in Joomla 4.3. It was really a major feature for that version, but it was not a feature that was fully done. And then we keep improving the software so that we can make something that's more usable and more easy for people. So let's see what guided tours are. So a guided tour is a short walkthrough that highlights and introduces features in the Joomla interface, and it can do it in an interactive way. If you have been installing new instances of Joomla 5.1, for instance, you may have seen that you've been greeted with a welcome screen that shows you around. This is one of the guided tours we have available in Joomla. What are the guided tours for? So they are for the end users, so that people who get into Joomla for the first time, they get guided and can learn how to navigate into Joomla. It does help maintainers with their websites. If they have a client who is new to Joomla and you want to introduce them to the interface, you can show them guided tours where to get them, and you can create your own. For the implementers, then you make your updates. You can say your website is updated to this thing, and you want to highlight the features you introduced in your site for your clients. Then it's important to have a guided tour. For third-party developers, it's also help them their user to navigate into directions and get into the new features. So how do you get started? It's pretty simple. I'm going to show you with a quick demo. So you're okay. Hold on one sec. My computer lost the window. Okay, so you see at the top of the screen, if you haven't ever used it yet, you have a take a tour option. And this is where you can have a list of the guided tours that are available. You see the top ones are usually the ones that are in the context of the page. So for example, I'm here in the dashboard, and that's where the welcome tour starts. So these are featured at the top. Then you get list of tours, then you get a limited list of tours. This is an option you can set in the module, which is an administration module, or you can show all the tours all at once. So when you start a tour, if, for example, you want to create a contact, then I select the tour and I'm getting a walkthrough through the contacts. So I'm going to start, and then I can engage the users in clicking the new button. Then it gets to how to fill the form and stuff like that. So you may have noticed that there is a little change in the way the guided tour window looks. We have added, that's the plan for 5.2. We are adding a cancel label to the cross to make it easy to people to understand that they can cancel the tour. We also have moved the number of steps in another space because it was too close from the X, and it made it your eyes go away from that main purpose of the cancel. So we are planning on introducing that in 5.2. We also planning on changing the size of the windows themselves. For example, if I go to the welcome tour, or if I was gonna show you West New tour, then you would have a larger window where you can actually show more information to your users in one shot, and add images that are not shrunk or videos that are not too small, so that people can actually run the videos or see the images and the content right from that slide or step. So that's what the tour is. So what do you do into creating a tour? Creating a tour is just something that you do in a Joomla console. There are different principles that you want to make sure you follow. You want to make sure that you keep the tour relevant to your users. You want to keep it concise. You don't want to add too many steps so that the user after a while gets tired, lost, or the attention span is kind of limited these days with all the social media we are going through. So we want something that's very concise. You want something that's also interactive, so that the user has a way of doing things, because it's better for memory. You memorize things better if you do them instead of reading about them. You need to use straightforward language, a language that's very easy to understand and goes to the point. And you want to make sure that you tailor the tour to the audience. You want to make sure that if you create something to a client, that you use the wording he knows and you talked with him before. So when you prepare for a tour, you need to know what's the purpose of that tour. In what context will the tour run? So for example, if you want to get information about a contact, the context of the tour will be the contact component. Where should it start? Do you want to start the tour in the contact page or somewhere else? And what steps are you going to go through? So this ties up to how a tour is created. So when you create a tour, you go to System, Guided Tours, which is in the Manage section. And you have the list of the available tours already. So when you create a tour, you create new. And then you get into the information that will start your tour. So you need to give it a title. So like I said, what is the tour for? For example, how to create a contact. That would be your title. The URL, don't forget to toggle in and help, because it really helps understanding what you need to do in all those cases. The relative URL will tell where the tour should start. So this is information you get from when you're using your browser. You see the URL on top of the window. And this is the kind of information you need to gather to put in that field. So if you want to create a contact and you want to start the tour in a contact page, then you go to the contact page and you copy and paste the actual URL. Then you want to, who's going to have access to the tour? Is the tour for everybody? Who's gonna go into the administration console? Note that the tours are all for the backend of Joomla. So most likely you're going to have the super users, the administrators that are going to access this backend. So you can create additional groups and make it for a certain kind of administrators that would get some kind of tours, and so other administrators getting other tours, whatever you decide to do. The component selector is where the context of your tour. So if you're going to create a contact tour, you say, okay, I want the context of my tour is contacts. It's what's going to happen there. And we have something new in 5.2. You can tell, is it a tour that will start automatically when my client accesses the page? Is it something that I want to show right away? Or is it a tour that the user will have to access manually? So this is how you create a tour. Then you need to create steps for the tour. And I'm going to show one of the steps. For example, if you go to the tour, how to create a tour, you can actually take that tour and see how you create a tour. Then you get into the steps, and you can see, I don't know if you're thrown out with the fact that there are language keys inside the fields, like the title or the description. This is because in Joomla, we made it so that we can show tours in all different languages. So if you're not having a tour that's necessary in multi-language, so you don't have those language keys inside, you actually have the text that you want to add. So if I was going to create my tour for myself, for my client, I just would enter text regularly. I wouldn't have to enter a language key. And then you have several things that made up a step. You need to choose in what position the step will show next. If, for example, if you have a button and you want to show information about the button, you say, okay, maybe I want my tour step to showing under that button, or I want to show it on the left, or I just want to show information that's going to be at the center of the screen. So this is the purpose of the position. Then you have the target. So the target is the most important aspect of the step, but it's also the most difficult to understand what it is, because it entitles you to understand how an element is positioned on your page. For example, you need a good tool that would help you is the inspector of a browser. The inspector is going to tell you, okay, if I want to, for example, I just made it up, so that I want to have my step highlighting that target button here. What I want to do is to understand and to find out what is the name of the target. The target is going to be in Joomla. What you see in the inspector, and I'm sorry, that's going to be done. I cannot improve the font size here, so I don't know if you see anything, but it tells me that my target has an ID called JForm target, and that would be in a CSS language, that would be JForm target. So that's how you set the target. If you want your slide to be just in the middle of the screen, you don't have to enter that information. It's just needed if you show something on the screen, if you target a specific item or element on the screen. And then there's all interactive aspect of it. You can have your step being a redirect, so that the person, when clicking on the tour, will be redirected to another page. And then you can have interactive items, so that, for example, you say you should enter a title, and that kind of thing. We will organize workshops for this kind of stuff, because it's not always that simple to create a tour, depending on which elements you want to target on the page. There is going to be workshops, there's going to be documentation about how to target an element, tips and tricks, and all that stuff that's coming out very soon for that. So this is how you create a tour. So there are some difficulties. Like you have seen, one of the difficulties is to understand how to target an element on the page. There are also other difficulties, because tours are built into the Joomla administrative console, and they are meant to run inside the administrative console. So you get into situations where, okay, I want to create my tour, but to create my tour, I have to be in the guided tour component, but I want to create my tour and see which elements I want to target. So I need to get away from the guided tour page and go to the page of the tour I want to create. So it's kind of complicated to be able to do both at the same time. And then what if I want to create a tour on one website, and I want to use a tour I created for a client, I want to use the same tour for another client. Like what do you do in this case? And if I'm a developer, I want to create a tour, but then how do I get it included into my extension? So there are different solutions that can happen. First, if you could have two instances of Joomla working side by side, and you would create your tour with that information. So one side would be creating your tour, the other side would be looking through the interface to know which elements to target and how to enter to get the user to go through the steps. And then there's also another thing you could do is create an Excel sheet or a Google sheet or whatever, where you would add the information yourself. So you would create a sheet with all the steps, the descriptions, and then you would have to want a way to include that into Joomla later on. So solution is a guided tour toolkit. That's something we have created, or that we're made available on GitHub right now. This is something that's going to be, once it's more solid and have more features, we will make it available through the JUG. So that's something you will be able to install from the Joomla extension directory. Right now, you can download it from the page. If you go to the github.com, if you have a GitHub account, go to Joomla extensions and the tours toolkit. So one of the solutions we have right now, if you want to create a tour, it's simply with the toolkit, we'll add a button to export the tour. And if you install the toolkit on the recipient website, then you will have information on how to import the tour. So you can export from one site, get a file from it, and then re-import that file into another website. Then we also have tools that allow you to get a sheet, use a sheet, import it, and then have it become a guided tour. With the tool, we also provide like an example file so that you can look through it and see all the column names that are required, and then how you can enter your information. So what's happening is that when you install the toolkit, you get a component called Guided Tours Toolkit. And that's the first page right now. This is the only page we have, is giving you two ways to enter information. One is from a JSON file, so that the file that was exported from another website, and a way of entering information through a CSV file. And then you can even tell for what tour that the steps you've been in that file would be for. And then you have all information about how the columns need to be named, if they are mandatory, what values you can enter in it. And then you have specific information about what's been introduced in what version of Joomla, because there are things that are not in 4 that are in 5, for example. And if you have also some shortcuts that help you go navigate to guided tours. And then in the guided tours, that's when you have created a tour, that's where you get the export button. That you can import later on another website. In the works, and it's already ready, we also have a way of exporting a tour, as an SQL file, so that developers can then use that SQL information into their extension, so that they can import easily from their extensions, from their install to the guided tour, so that all their users can have the guided tours included in it, in the sites where it's installed. So what's next for the Guided Tours Toolkit? We are working right now. I have a question from Laura, actually. Will guided tours ever be added to the front end? Yes, this is something that we are working on with Adam, actually. Adam Elsher is a part of the guided tour team now, and he's been showing a solution that was working with using guided tours in the front end. So this was not something that was ready for 5.2. This is something that we'll be working on for a further version of Joomla. I don't know if 5.3 is going to be too short or not, but we are working on the front end edition of tours. So what's new? What's going to come with the guided tour toolkit? The packaging of tours. So we will provide a way of exporting a tour as a package. That package will be a zip file that can be then used to go through, and like you will go into any extension install, and you would just drop your tour into here in the Joomla extension installer, and you will have your tour installed. So this is the easiest way, I think, for users to start augmenting the list of tours into their websites, and have more and more developers and more maintainers sharing their tours. We will have a section in a Joomla extension directory where you will be able to download tours. Then, like for any other extension, then you may want to install tours that are made for Akiba backup, that someone shared and installed. I've seen another question. If package can be installed like any other, that would be very powerful. Yeah. So it will be very easy to install and uninstall, because then once it's installed through the installer, then you can just go to the manage of the extension, manage extensions, and you will have your tour and the list of extensions. It probably will be in the type package. You will have your tour showing in here. Click on it, and install it. So that would be very powerful. It would be as powerful as if you were installing just a regular extension. And I'm showing stuff, sorry, on my browser, and you're not seeing it. So you would have the installer, the packaging tour being showing in the list of managed extensions as a package, and you will be able to uninstall it from there. So what's coming also is a much larger documentation pool and tips and tricks, because we understand that it's not easy to target items on a page for the creation of steps. So we will provide a tool, this time, a tool that will allow you to understand what is an ID of an element on the page, for example. We also have we are building a list of tips and tricks on how to, for example, to target a tab in a page, and how to make the user go through from one tab to another tab, things like that, tips and tricks. They're like little scenarios we have put together. And then we certainly want to make the documentation the more extensive as possible, so that it becomes easier for people to create tours. And then we need to create a guided tool for a toolkit too, because as we go, we get more information, we get more stuff into it. We need to get the information out. So what's next for the guided tours themselves? So starting in 5.2, we will have the introduction of the What's New tour. So every time you will have, like you had the welcome tour when you install a new instance, you will have the What's New tour that will show you what's new in a minor release of Joomla. So you have the welcome tour in 5.0, you have the What's New tour in 5.1 or 5.2 in 5.3. And every time it will show you the major features that are being implemented in the new version you've just updated to. So as you've seen in 5.1, we have the welcome tour that starts automatically by itself, but the feature was not completely coded as we wanted to. So what's happening into 5.2 is that we have been working on the auto start of the tours. And then what's coming up is also the tours in the Joomla extension directory that are installable as an extension. So what about the auto starting tour? So if I'm going to my tour, the welcome tour, and then I turn it off so that it doesn't show. But what if I want to make my tour, or actually I'm gonna not do this one. I'm gonna do, I want to tell my client, okay, I want you to see how to create a banner the first time it enters the page banner. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna auto start that tour. and I'm going to make it auto-startable. So now the next time I go to the page, and that goes for every user, so that all users will be able to have the tour starts when they log in. Not only you as a super user, any users. You go in there, okay, I got my tour to start automatically. What's happening now is that you have an extra button that is added to the tour. It's the hide forever. You've been probably nagged a few times about tours that start automatically, and you're like, okay, I don't want to keep looking at that tour coming up on my screen. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to add the tour forever. I don't want it to nag me again. So that's an option that you can go through. When you don't see a tour anymore, like that, if I refresh the page, I don't see it anymore. Then I still have the tour available in my list of tours. If I wanted to, I can restart it automatically. I mean, manually, so that it doesn't show automatically. But then I can still run my tour if I have second thoughts, and I'm like, oh, darn, I wanted to see the tour anyway. So you can still go in and then go back to it. Let's have another tour that starts automatically. Well, let's go back to this time to the welcome tour. In 5.1, we have the welcome tour showing only once when you install it, and when it's run, it auto starts to know automatically. So when you're updating your version of Joomla, it will be turned off. So you have a welcome tour, and the welcome tour only shows when you're going into the dashboard. So I have a welcome tour that starts. One thing is that you can have the user cancel the tour. When you auto start the tour, when you cancel it, it may mean, okay, I don't want to see it now, but I may want to see it later. So you can now, in the global configuration of the guided tours, you can say, okay, I want to allow the tours to start. You can turn it off if you want to, and never have a tour auto start. And then when the user cancels, you can say, okay, I don't want to show this tour for 24 hours. So you're gonna put I don't want to show this tour for another 86,400 seconds. It's in seconds, so that we can fine tune. You can fine tune as you want. So you could say, all right, this time, if I put it every 24 hours, when a user cancels a tour that auto starts, then it won't show up again to that user for another 24 hours. So I didn't save it, so it's okay. So while I was showing you that, I think it was set to 60 seconds. So I should be able to, if I go back to the home dashboard, my tour starts again, because I had the delay set to 60 seconds, so that the next time I go back to the home dashboard, and I had canceled the welcome tour, but it was supposed to show up again 1 minute later. If I refresh the page again, it's not showing because it's in the minute that I set. So it's not showing again. We do have the addition, like I told you earlier, the addition of the what's new tours. So there will be a tour that will, like I said, auto start when you update Joomla. So it will show you the major features, and then you have the start. Instead of having a start button, you have a learn more button that will tell you, okay, that will show you in more details, a few more details, what's new in the instance you installed, and then you could just complete, cancel. It's an auto start tour, so it will also show hide forever if you don't want to see it again. And once again, when you hide forever, or if you complete the tour, you can still have it in the list of tours. It's still available for you. Users can also choose not to see auto starting tour. So this will be an extra option in the basic settings. You will be able to say, okay, auto start is tour. I disallow them because I don't want to ever be bothered with tours that start by themselves, and not have to think about, you know, canceling tours as they come to my pages. So this is what's new for 5.2. It's in the works. So it's ready to be proposed. I mean, we already had a meeting with the release managers. We showed the new functionality, and now we have this week finishing up the PR so that they can be this can be introduced in GitHub and to the view of the maintainers, and go through the code to make sure the code is per to the Joomla standards. And hopefully it'll make it to 5.2. I am very confident it will. We have still some time because the release is in October, so we want to introduce the PR into the alpha versions so that into the beta we can tweak it if necessary, to make sure that it works for everyone. How you can help with guided tours? You can test tours. It's an important thing is that when we introduce new tours, make sure that the tours have the wording that are appropriate. We are working right now on also updating the core tours, because there are things that, you know, that needed some tweaking. So we're still working on that. So if you want to test, give your opinions about your feedback about the tours, you're welcome to. This is very important so that we get tours that are solid and most users can use. We need developers, of course, to code new features, and then content creators to help us, you know, make tours for new functionality in Joomla. And then you can try and learn on how to create tours and give us feedback on how difficult it is for you to do so. This is very important because we need to know what needs to be improved in the interface and make it more easy for you to create tours. There is a toolkit, but the toolkit is not gonna do everything for you. It's gonna help out, but we need to make sure that we create the right tools for you to be able to create good tours. So you can learn about guided tours all over the place. There are posts in the community magazine regularly about tours. We will start soon with the JUG presentations like this one, and we want to create workshops so that we can have people learn how to create tours with specific examples and specific difficulties you can go through in creating a tour. There's also the manual, joomla.org, that has information for developers. It's still limited, so we want to improve that documentation. And you have the inline help when you go through the tours interface. But the same thing, it's like any inline help, you are kind of limited to basic stuff, and it not always gives you the most information about how to create a tour. So we want to improve that too. So you can stay in touch with the guided tour team, and then we have a channel on Mattermost. So you're welcome to contact us and get into the channel. I'm working the channel with Sherelle SD. There are people that have been going into the channel on and off. Developers, I mean, people who create tours, and people who document tours. So there's been a lot of different people going into our meetings. We have a meeting every 2 weeks. So one day you can just pop up, and even we even had people coming up during our session to show them the difficulties they had with the tour they were creating, and then we're trying to help them out and stuff like that. So we want to be having meetings that are very constructive, and then we want to keep improving the guided tours in Joomla so that we can start having meaningful tours for your clients and for your users. So that's what I wanted to show you today.
Does anyone
Well,
have
that's awesome.
anyone have any questions for Olivier?
Yeah, I saw questions from Laura, but I didn't check if I. This is the
Laura,
only
he
ones?
didn't answer.
No.
Yeah.
He did. You did great. This could be really powerful. I think having the packages is going to make it a game changer, and having it on the front end for front end editing is going to be even more important. A lot of times people that go to the back end may not need a tour, you know, if they're going to the back end anyway, but the front end editing manager, like if I want them to manage courses or manage people, it could be a little reminder of how to step through that process.
Yes.
So yeah, it could be really great. And the finagling of it, I did ask a question about when you're creating a tour, when you have to select the URL. Probably that may be more efficient if somehow you could, you know, maybe a pop-up came up of what the admin menu is. You could select one, but if you wanted to select something from the administrator menu, we already have that data. That would probably be pretty powerful.
That could be very useful.
Yeah, and the issue with the target, yeah, you're going to have two things running, because how would you know what the target is, right? So. But that's okay, that, you know. And now, how is it in batch if you wanted to copy an entire tour, then remake it for yourself? I don't remember seeing that. Are you able to copy a full tour and all of its steps, and then you could just adjust little things, right?
Yes, you can actually, well, I wouldn't suggest doing it, but you can also modify the tour themselves right from the tours, but they may be overridden by an update. So
right. That's why I was thinking if you could copy one.
Yeah, you can duplicate them. Yeah,
perfect.
There's
Great.
there's action duplication. Yeah, and you can actually duplicate. You can duplicate a bunch of tours at the same time. So you have a batch option for that.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I can show you very quick. If you go to, I'm sorry, I set up my welcome screen to come back every 60 seconds, so it comes back. Okay, so if you go to guided tours, you have the list of tours. You say you want to modify the article and categories, for example, and you select both. And you go to the action and you just say duplicate. That's how you can do it. And then you can change anything you want in it. It will actually, well, I'll show you. It will duplicate it. It will add it as unpublished tours, and then you can just go through it. Even the steps are unpublished, but that's why it says 0, because they are unpublished. But if you go in it, they are all there.
They're there. Beautiful.
Yeah. So you have to understand, since the tour duplicated doesn't have the language file associated to it, then you can you erase the thing and you just put your title in it, or you create new keys, whatever you prefer, if you want to make it international or not.
It is important to note that everyone should know that if you do modify a tour that already exists in an update, it will override it, especially if the tours are coming over. That's a pretty big thing to note. And maybe in the application itself, Olivier, it should make a note or some kind of warning that it will get overwritten on a Joomla update, because people do spend time going through these and modifying it for themselves, and then they get overwritten, they'll be really sad.
Yeah. So or you override it right from the tour, and then you duplicate your override. But either way, you need to make sure that you have a copy of what you did. That because then it will be overrated. Like anything in Joomla, you cannot change anything in the core in the code. You have to create overrides for to make sure that.
But this seems different because if you're looking at this, you think of this as like articles, so you may make an assumption that it's not going to get overwritten, that it's just like demo content.
Yeah.
So it's really, that should be like big red flags that
yeah, I will,
it would get overwritten. Or maybe on the install, if you do an update, that there's a question, do you want to renew or re-update the demo content or something? Go that way too. I don't know the best way to go. But,
yeah, that's something you have to think about it seriously. Yeah,
that's right.
because,
That's
yeah.
right. To ask the question, do you want your demo content overwritten for guided tours? A yes, no, when you do the upgrade, or the other way around, where people are notified when they do make a change that this will be overwritten.
It won't
with
be
an upgrade.
Yeah, it won't be. I don't think it will be actually overridden necessarily, because on the upgrade, it's not like the code. We actually have them in the database, and we don't reinstall them.
Oh,
So
then maybe you'll be okay.
So yeah, I have to think about it. It may be not. It may not be an issue.
That would be great
to make sure. To make sure.
Good thing to look at, right? Yeah, that's great.
any other questions? Olivier?
So this is not so much a question about guided tours, but if I'm remembering correctly, the idea of doing guided tours came from outside the Joomla community. Was this started as a Google Summer of Code project a while back?
It was started from a Google Summer of Code project. Actually, it's been a project that has been worked on 3 times with Google Summer of Code. So it has been 3 students going through that feature, and only the 3rd time was a charm. Even now the 3rd time we had to step in to help the student, because it was a lot to tackle. There were a few things that were missing, like the fact that it was not multilingual, things like that we had to work out to make sure that it would be included in the release. So there's been a lot of work needed, but it's been 3 students have been going through that project before we decided to introduce it.
So the reason I bring that up is because I thought that was an excellent way to embrace young people, because now those 3 people are somewhat familiar with Joomla, and it gave them an opportunity to highlight, some of their skills and experience. And so say that to remind people that if you are part of other communities that are, internet, web-based, software-based, that you should, show Joomla to people and ask them what they think of it, because these are great ideas that people who are outside of our little box can see and go, oh, wouldn't it be nice if? And because sometimes we're so embedded in Joomla, like the one guy was saying earlier, Alan was saying, is that when they updated their old website and the former users were all going, oh, it doesn't work the same. Well, yeah, it was broken and it shouldn't work like that. So, but people get used to things and they get stuck in their own little world. So outside influence, outside opinions and ideas are help keep Joomla moving forward.
And we try as much as possible to keep the students engaged, The ones that have been going through GSOC, some of them stayed with the project, some didn't show again, but we try and keep contact with them. Even with the OSPP, which is the Chinese version of the Google Summer of Code, we have contacts with the students, and we want to make sure that we keep the young generation alive in the project, so that because they will be the ones carrying on the project later on.
Absolutely.
Sorry to have to move it along. I do have to jump in 10 minutes. So any final questions or statements or anything you want to add to the meeting before we wrap up, please feel free. Oh, thank you.
I have a question that's not related to this for Olivier, but Olivier, thanks for all the work that you're doing on guided tours, and especially love the export and import feature, which we talked about. When you migrate a site from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4, you get smart search and you get dumb search still. It's okay to just uninstall dumb search, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to do a video on that, but I just didn't want everyone to yell at me.
No, it's carried over, because when you make an update, we don't even want people to lose the functionality they had created on their site. So it carries over, but you can safely delete it.
But the dumb search doesn't work on Joomla 4.
It doesn't?
No.
Ah, one more reason to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's why I've been removing it.
That's strange, because it's supposed to still work.
I don't. I've seen it not work enough times that I just thought, oh, I guess this doesn't work. I wonder why it's still there. I'll just uninstall the package and.
Yeah, because when you get a fresh install, then you don't have it. But
yeah,
but it's supposed to work, even though it's not maintained anymore. But it's weird.
Will it work when you change the PHP version? Does it work?
Oh, I have no idea. Because I have all my instances that don't have it anymore, so I'm not even sure.
Yeah. I'll try it one more time, but it's not needed anyways. And why use? You might as well use smart search, right?
Yeah, I mean it's much more powerful.
Just a matter if you have settings in the dumb search and you just want to look at it and compare it and move it over to the new one and then delete it.
It's not working. It's not even working the same way. So
no, it doesn't matter. Okay.
And by the way, speaking of search, so thanks to the people that made searching through custom fields a reality. That's awesome. But you do have to turn it on, right? When you make the field, you have to say make it searchable.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
and I also
you can go ahead.
I was going to say I go in and I edit the CSS files and the index files in the template area. I know a lot of people do that offline, but Joomla 5 has a search now. I can just click and search, and before it wouldn't work easily. So I don't know if anyone else has noticed that is now built in. No one else has noticed that. I do a lot of custom templates, so that's why I'm always.
I think you can also get the pictures inside the search results.
Pictures, okay.
So there's this little functionality that we may miss from one version to the next, but the custom fields, it was made to be at the custom field level, because they are custom fields you may not want to be searchable. So that's why it was kept like that, and it's fine grained, if you will, so that it wouldn't give information that you may not want to show the people who search.
All right, great presentation today. Thank you everybody for coming. Tim is here. I'd love to have him close us out. And before he does, Joe and I will be in touch with you, but our next session in August might be a training to get you ready to do some bug squashing. So look forward to that, and everyone have a wonderful time and stay safe in the heat. I look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
Tim, you want to close us out?
Sure, I'd love to. As usual, I hope that wherever this finds you, be it morning, evening, afternoon, or tomorrow, that you are well. Until the next time, enjoy your Joomla sites and God bless.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.